Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my spoiler review of The Last of Us Episode 8, which just dropped on HBO Max. So let's get right to it, but make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get going.
The others want to kill you? Let me protect you.
Alright, so we start off the episode on a cold winter, just like we ended last episode. And we meet David, who is played by Scott Shepherd, who is basically reading a Bible. He's hosting some sort of church and memorial for this one girl's father who's crying a lot because her father was actually the man that Joel killed last episode. I'm pretty sure that was him who he killed last episode. Next we meet is James, basically David's partner. They both basically run this whole community that's going down right here. Troy Baker is actually the guy who plays James in this episode, and Troy Baker is the man who plays Joel in the games. He does the voice work, all the movement stuff, basically all the acting for Joel in the game. So that's really cool. They made him a part of this show in this small role, but actually pretty good role. He does play James very well. They're both very menacing, Scott Shepherd and Troy Baker, in these roles. I love them in this episode. And this episode is one of my favorites, I gotta say, because this part of the game is my favorite part of the game to play, because it's just so fast paced. There's a lot going on, a lot to do, a lot to collect, a lot to kill. There's a lot of people you got to take down, and there's a lot going on. This episode has it all. It was a little short, but it does have it all. We then cut to Ellie and Joel, where Joel is still basically trying to heal from his stab wound. He's got stitches, but there's a lot of like pus coming out and all that. It's not healed yet. Basically very infected. He's still very weak, and Ellie goes out with her gun to go hunt. She then finds a deer, shoots it once, injures it, it runs off, and then we find David and James are now standing by the dead deer, and Ellie goes up from behind them and basically interrogates them to drop their weapons and all that. And then they basically want to share the meat because David and James' community are very low on rations. They said they only have like 2 weeks left of rations, so they want to trade stuff. And basically, James goes back to grab medicine for a trade where Ellie and David take shelter in a worn-down house, because the trade was going to be that James gives Ellie the medicine and Ellie takes half of the deer and they get half the deer. But then James comes back up with the gun. But Ellie does get the medicine, but she doesn't get any of the deer. So she goes back to Joel, gives him the medicine at night, and then they go to bed, gives him more medicine in the morning, so he should be healing up. And we cut back to David's community, where rations are extremely low, like I said. But David and James come back with the deer, and this is one of the most intense parts of the episode for me. The girl's dad that Joel killed, which I'm assuming that Joel killed her dad. That one from the last episode, the guy that stabbed Joel, and then Joel killed him. I'm pretty sure that was her dad. I'm gonna guess. Basically, the girl says that they should kill both of them. And then David responds by slapping her, and then basically saying that her father's dead, but basically he is her father now, which is kind of terrifying, because he basically sees himself as the god of their community, which I guess is because he worships God a lot. And I guess he now sees himself as like the all-powerful of his town. But like, seriously, this guy is pretty evil. In the first part of the episode, I thought he was actually kind of like nice and open to like prayers and all that, but he's actually going after everyone, and he thinks he's the all-powerful of the town, and that's pretty bad. And James ends up, they go back and get a group to go back and find Ellie and Joel, and Ellie basically doesn't want Joel to be found, so she goes out on her horse and basically tries to lead him away. But James ends up shooting the horse that Ellie's on, and Ellie basically flies off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she flew off pretty far. That was insane. And she basically ends up getting captured like in the game, and the other men are now hunting for Joel, entering houses. We have one man that actually enters Joel's house, but even though Joel's weak, he's still healing, but he actually fights back against this first attacker and takes him down. It was actually a hard takedown for him, since I said he is still weak, but he has that medicine in him, so he's getting stronger. And now we cut back to David. He has now trapped Ellie in the cage like in the game. It's a very good scene here. Very good dialogue, just like in the game. But now we cut back to Joel. He's now on basically an ultimate spree of capturing the attackers and questioning them, where the town is and all that, and let's say some harmful methods that he uses. Like in the game, he uses some very harmful methods here. Pedro Pascal is ruthless here, and he plays the scary act very well. I was actually scared of him. If Pedro Pascal was going to do that to me, I would answer any question he said with the truth, because he was very scary, and he basically takes out these two men after they tell him the truth of where they are, which is basically 100% of how Joel acts. He does not want to be played with. You cannot play with Joel. He's going to take you down either way. David tries to feed Ellie, and it comes out that David is basically feeding his community human meat. So all the people in that community are basically cannibals without having any knowledge of it, because David does say that only him and a few people, probably James and like a few others, know that they fed their community like human meat at times because it was the last resort. But even then, you should not be doing that. That's just so stupid. I would never eat stuff like that, even if it was the last resort. That's so dumb. But basically, their whole community almost has no knowledge that they're eating human meat, which is, as I said, scary. And David is just a maniac of a person in this episode. He might be worse than James, but we didn't really meet James like that much. But Ellie then gets David to have his fingers basically in the cage, and she basically breaks one of David's fingers. And my favorite line from this episode, Ellie says to David, "Tell them that Ellie is a little girl that broke your fucking finger." That's a great line. I love that line so much. It's hilarious. She takes down David, and James and David are about to kill Ellie when she basically tells them that she's infected. But then Ellie actually ends up killing James basically in the neck. So James is just dead. Then we have the famous restaurant scene where Ellie starts burning down the whole restaurant with basically wood that was in the fireplace. She just throws it at the wall and starts burning down. David's trying to find her. And then Ellie ultimately brings down all of her rage on David. And she ultimately takes him out with a lot of punches, a lot of hitting him with a knife, I think it was. It's just a crazy scene because she's basically on so much adrenaline right now, so she has to take it all out on him. But then Joel and Ellie finally reunite. It's a brilliant ending. They finally go off in the distance when the camera's just there steady. I love the ending. And Bella Ramsey's just brilliant in this episode. I loved her here, but overall I love the episode. It might be my favorite, it might be second favorite, I don't know, because episode 5 was so good. But gotta say, brilliant episode, brilliant script, brilliant set design. I love the winter. Anything winter with cinematography is just awesome in my opinion. Brilliant acting by everyone. Happy to see everyone that was here. And happy to see Troy Baker that showed up, who played Joel like in the games. Happy to see him. But as I said, love the episode. Let me say that this is such a great show. We only have one more episode left, so I'm going to get ready for that episode next week. But tell me what you guys thought of the episode in the comments. But make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys later. Peace out.